It's the 9th of December 2024. This is a brand new edition of Newsfirst's Prime Time News coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo, bringing you the news tonight. I am Jaimal Ratnayaka.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekara. Here are your headlines for tonight.
Newsfirst Headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
President's commitment to eliminate corruption highlighted on International Anti-Corruption Day set for today.
මහිතනවා අපි මේ අවස්ථාවේ මේ කරන්න අසමත් වුණොත් අපේ රටේ ජනතාව හීනෙන්වත් සුබ සිහිනයක් දකින්නේ නැහැ.
Annulment of local government elections squandered 720 million rupees of public funds. Dulles accuses former President Ranil. Consignments of imported rice to arrive in the country on Wednesday, says State Trading Corporation. Lohan Ratwate, who was arrested and charged for causing a motor accident, released on bail. Sri Lanka Navy, the guardians of the sea, celebrate its 74th anniversary. Russia grants asylum to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and family.
Newsfirst Headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
A top story for tonight. President Anukumara Dissanayake emphasized that he is fully committed to using the powers vested in him in the fight against corruption. He expressed these views at an event in Colombo today, marking International Anti-Corruption Day.
The event in line with International Anti-Corruption Day was organized by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. The event, held at the Bandaranaike Memorial International Conference Hall, was chaired by President Anukumara Dissanayake.
මෙතන කවුද අඩු? දේශපාලන අධිකාරී ලෙස මායින්. ජනාධිපති ලේකම්තුමා ඇතුළු රාජ්‍ය නිලධාරී ශේත්‍රයේ ඉහළම නිලධාරීතුමා අගමැති ලේකම්තුමා කට්ටිය ඉන්නවා. ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණ නියෝජනය කර නොවුනත් මම හිතනවා විනිසුරුවන් ඉන්නවා. අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව
Who is missing here? To represent the state, we have me, the Secretary to the President, the Prime Minister's Secretary and other state officials. The justices of the Supreme Court are here. The officer in charge of the CID is here as well as the Secretary to the Ministry of Defence. The Chairman and Commissioner of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption are here. So where does the issue lie? If we genuinely look at this, the problem is clear. How can a CID file resurface and be swept under the carpet so quickly? How can documents from 7 to 8 years ago remain hidden in a cupboard for so long? Isn't this the real issue? Do not take anything I say personally. I am speaking to the seriousness of the situation our country is facing. How can files in the Attorney General's department resurface only to be ignored again? How can the CID fail to address a case or file for 7 to 8 years? How can a case before the court be delayed for 7 to 8 months? We all have an understanding of the issues within our institutions, and we can point to reasons why these delays happen. For example, the Attorney General's department might say they are short-staffed, leading to delays. The CID could explain that they are overwhelmed with cases, which extends the time needed to process each one. The CIBOC could provide similar reasons, but the core problem remains. The public cannot continue to bear the consequences of this inefficiency. We must take time to reflect on this. As a government official, I will use the powers vested in me to fight corruption. But I also understand my limits. I can chair certain government entities, oversee community infrastructure development and allocate financial assistance. But the real work, the change we seek, will be done by you. Recent incidents have made global headlines. A US CIA officer was detained, and during the investigation, it was revealed that the Central Bank of Sri Lanka transferred $6 million to him. The UK High Court was involved in an investigation concerning the provision of Airbuses to various countries, and it was uncovered that Sri Lanka had solicited bribes. Additionally, a Sri Lankan diplomat was implicated in a scandal, and Sri Lankans were named in the Pandora Papers and the Panama Papers. This is the state of Sri Lanka today. But has a proper investigation been conducted into these matters? No. Instead, what we see is the continued abuse of power by those who have accumulated it, enabling them to perpetuate corruption. We must bring justice to the people. If we fail to do so, then all our efforts are meaningless. The issue you have been entrusted with has not been treated with the seriousness it deserves. In 2021, 69 cases were closed, and of those, 40 cases were withdrawn. Why was the Malwana case called off halfway through? In some cases, investigation officers themselves end up becoming witnesses. Why is that? Aren't we accountable to the people we serve? Our entire system has collapsed, and it is clear that the whole system must be reformed. I am determined to be part of that change. If we fail, our people will never prosper. I understand the cases you are handling, but if a case is determined solely by the name on the file, then what is the point of the investigation?
හීනෙන්වත් සුබ සීනයක් දකින්නේ නැහැ. ඔබ සතු තියෙන පැමිණිලි ප්‍රමාණය මම දන්නවා. ඒ පැමිණිලි වල නම් ගම් දන්නවා. මතක තබා ගන්න. ඒ පැමිණිලි දාපු කාල ගොඩක් ඒවා අපිට අදහස් තිබෙනවා. ඒ පැමිණිලි වල චූතිතියන් කවුද කරන පිළිබඳව අපිට යම් දල අදහසක් තිබුණා. මුළුමනින් මම ෆයිල් එක කියලා නැතත්. හැබැයි ෆයිල් එක බර වෙනවද? ෆයිල් එක සැහැල්ලු වෙනවද කියලා තීරණය කරන්නේ ෆයිල් එක ඇතුලේ තියෙන කෙනාගේ නම නම්.
Chairman of the Freedom People's Congress and Executive Committee member of the Samangi Jana Alliance, Dallas Alha-Perumal, said that the Cabinet's decision to annul the nominations for the local government elections called 22 months ago and to call for new elections will receive the support of all political parties and the public. He made this statement in a letter to President Anurakumara Dissanayake.
In a letter to President Anurakumara Dissanayake, chairman of the Freedom People's Congress and executive committee member of the Samagijana Sandhanaya, Dallas Alha-Perumal criticized former President Ranil Wickremesinghe's decision in January 2023 to postpone the local government elections. Dallas Alha-Perumal highlighted that this move resulted in the loss of over 720 million rupees of public funds. He emphasized that the lost money was taxpayers' funds, not the personal wealth of politicians. The letter was also sent to the opposition leader, all members of parliament, commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption, and all political party leaders. Dallas Alha-Perumal is of the opinion that former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, by insulting the Election Commission and its commissioners who decided to hold the local government elections and by humiliating the Supreme Court, has confirmed his involvement in a political conspiracy. Dallas Alha-Perumal has criticized the decision to postpone the elections without any justifiable reason, describing it as a clear case of collective corruption and political and economic crime carried out in broad daylight. Alha-Perumal highlighted that this delay, along with other political scandals such as the bond scam, sugar scam and visa issue, should be seen as part of a broader pattern of political crimes. He stressed that those responsible for these actions must face severe punishment, regardless of their political privileges granted by the Constitution. He pointed out that the election delay has resulted in a loss of nearly 720 million rupees in public funds, urging legal action against those in power who made the decision. Dallas Alha-Perumal also called on current president to take decisive action against perpetrators of these economic crimes and expressed hope that the people's expectations would be fulfilled through a new election date.
The State Trading Corporation has said that the first shipment of imported rice is expected to arrive in Sri Lanka by Wednesday, that is, day after tomorrow. The State Trading Corporation said that the initial consignment of rice ordered by the private sector will be imported from India and Pakistan.
The consignment of rice ordered by the state is expected to arrive a few days after the rice ordered by the private sector. The State Trading Corporation said that the rice ordered by the state sector is expected to arrive in Sri Lanka by the weekend. The imported rice will include both Nadu and raw. In accordance with the announced maximum retail prices, imported Nadu rice will be sold at 220 rupees per kilogram. What is the current situation in the market? An agreement was reached during a recent meeting with the President and rice mill owners to release rice to the market at a maximum retail price effective yesterday. As per this agreement, the price of Nadu rice is set at 230 rupees per kilogram. White raw rice will be sold at 220 rupees per kilogram. The price of imported Nadu rice has been set at 220 rupees per kilogram. A maximum retail price of 240 rupees per kilogram has been set for Samba rice. The price of Kiri Samba has been set for 260 rupees per kilogram. The President has also directed that strict legal action be taken against anyone selling rice above the maximum retail price. However, consumers claim that rice remains unavailable at the controlled prices in the market today. In some areas, rice was unavailable.
හාල් හැමතැනම බැලුවා හාල් කොහෙවත් නැහැ නාඩු ඇත්තෙම නැහැ එක කඩේක නාඩු තියෙනවා 250ක් වෙනවා
හාල් වල නැහැ හාල් ගන්න විදිය නෑ හාල් නැහනේ
අතසේ එක જાතියක්වත් නැහැ කැකුළුත් නැහැ සුදුත් නැහැ
දැන් පාලන මිල දැම්ම නම් ඊයේ දැම්ම නම් අද පාලන මිලට හාල් දෙන්න ඕනි
This is the stance of traders.
අද 240 තමයි එන්නේ සුදු කිකුළු 225යි සම්වා 245යි 50යි එහෙම තමයි එන්නේ දැනට
අර වයින්ල දින 255ට ගත නාඩු තමයි ළඟ තියෙන්නේ නමුත් අද දෙන්න වෙලා තියෙන 230ට එතකොට රුපියල් 25ක් කිලෝ එකට පාඩු
The Maradagamula Rice Producers Association said that it is unable to supply rice at the controlled prices as it has already purchased at higher rates.
We purchased rice at approximately 156 rupees per kilogram. However, with the newly imposed control prices, we are unable to sell at those rates. The remaining stock is limited, only enough for about 2 days. To produce rice at the control price, we would need to acquire paddy at around 130 rupees per kilogram. I don't believe we will be able to resume production until the current stock is sold and new supplies are received, as those holding rice stocks have not lowered their prices.
However, the Consumer Affairs Authority carried out inspections at all rice mills in Maradagamula this evening. Inspections of rice mills in the Polonnaruwa and Hambantota districts got underway today. These inspections are being carried out following instructions by the President to obtain daily reports of the batches of rice being released by the mills. The Consumer Affairs Authority has said that these inspections will continue for the next 10 days. The annual rice requirement of Sri Lanka is approximately 2.46 million metric tons. A significant portion of this consumption is made up of Nadu rice. Of the harvests from 2023's Maha and 2024's Yala season, over 75% consists of Nadu rice. Given these statistics, there should be no shortage of rice. Former Director of Agriculture KB Gunaratne points out that Sri Lanka must instead record a surplus of rice.
For the 2024 Maha and Yala seasons, we expect the country's total rice production to be around 4.24 million metric tons. After processing, this should give us about 2.88 million metric tons of rice. With the annual consumption requirement being about 2.4 million metric tons, this level of production would leave us with a surplus of over 420,000 metric tons. However, as of now, around 40% of this stock has not reached the market.
මේ රටේ ඉතුරු වෙන්න ඕනේ. මේ තියෙන ප්‍රමාණයෙන් 140ක් තාම වෙළඳපොළට ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ.
Where does the issue lie? On the one hand, there is an excess of rice, but it is not reaching the market. On the other hand, agricultural authorities claim that the expected harvest has not materialized as anticipated. What is happening? This is what Professor Buddhi Marambe of the University of Peradeniya had to say.
We need just over 2 million metric tons of rice per month and annually around 2.4 million metric tons. The Minister of Agriculture has clarified that some of the rice is used for animal feed in the poultry industry while a portion is exported for beer production. However, these two categories were not included in the rice production calculations.
So, why are the quantities of rice used for beer production and animal feed excluded from the agricultural authorities' calculations?
The Ministry of Trade and Food Security issued a gazette notification prohibiting the use of rice for beer production or animal feed. This is why it hasn't been factored into the agricultural calculations. When a state institution issues such a gazette, the Ministry of Agriculture cannot include it in their figures. However, from a practical perspective, there are several shortcomings in the current calculations.
What are these shortcomings?
වී කිලෝ 100ක් අපි පාහින්නට දැම්මු.
According to the Ministry of Agriculture's calculations, if we assume the conversion rate from paddy to rice is 68%, this would yield 68 kilograms of rice for every 100 kilograms of paddy. However, when we consulted the National Institute of Post-Harvest Management, they reported that the conversion rate is typically between 62% and 65%. Large-scale rice mills generally estimate the conversion rate to be around 62.5%, while small and medium-sized mills report a range of 52 to 62%.
පරිමාණ මෝල් හිමියන් ඉන්නවනේ. ඔවුන් එක කතා කරොත් ඔවුන් කියාවේ 52 සිට 62 දක්වා අතර තමයි මේ අනුපාතය තියෙන්නේ.
Newsfirst inquiries also uncovered that the Chandrika technology, which is used to calculate rice yields, is not yet fully implemented across the country. Currently, only a pilot project is being carried out in the Anuradhapura and Kurunegala districts. Is there a discrepancy between the official statistics and the actual figures reported by authorities?
අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් V metric ton.
We have harvested around 4.6 million metric tons of paddy. If we apply the conversion rate of 68%, we would expect this to yield approximately 3.3 million metric tons of rice, slightly exceeding the usual amount. However, the mathematical model used here does not align with the practical reality, as we have seen consistently over the past few years, especially this year. The inconsistencies and variability in these calculations have significant implications. When we look at the sector, it is clear that not only consumers but also politicians are left in a difficult position, uncertain of how to make decisions due to the unreliable data.
Is there really a shortage of rice? Experts suggest that this year's paddy harvest has been approximately 6% lower than usual. They highlight that the current situation is due to decisions made by each government during times of floods, drought and changes in administration. Has this situation only emerged this year? The issue of rice prices is not new. It has surfaced several times in previous years. For example, a similar crisis occurred in December 2019. In response to this, the government at the time set the price of Samba and Nadu rice at 98 rupees per kilogram and issued extraordinary gazette notification number 2154/19 on Thursday, the 19th of December 2019. However, just a few months later, on the 10th of April 2020, the government issued another gazette notification number 2170/7, reducing the rice price. At the time, the government assured that rice mill owners would not increase prices further. Yet, within 2 months, on the 28th of May 2020, the government revoked the previous notification and issued Gazette Notification number 2177/9, raising the price of rice again. Despite these price hikes, rice mill owners began selling rice in the market at prices even higher than the newly set government rates. Further attempts to regulate the market were made with the issuance of Gazette Notification number 2200/3 on the 4th of November 2020. However, the market remained largely unaffected by these measures. Since 2015, various governments have made numerous efforts to control the rice market for the benefit of consumers, but they have consistently faced significant challenges and setbacks in doing so. What should be done to resolve this issue?
In order to address the issue, a practical solution would be to implement a QR system for rice transactions. This would allow any buyer to purchase rice directly at any time after it is produced.
QR system එකක් ඔස්සේ දත්ත පද්ධතියක් දියුණු කර ගැනීම.
News First with the people.
The Fourth Magistrate Court ordered former State Minister Lohan Ratwatta to be released on bail after he made an apology in court. The order was made over a case involving a traffic accident that occurred in Kolupitia on the 6th of December.
The suspect apologized to the other party involved in the accident before the court. The former state minister, who was a suspect in the case, apologized to the other party involved in the accident. According to the police, he was released on 2 sureties of 1 million rupees each. Lohan Ratwatte was arrested on the 6th of December after his vehicle collided with another car at the Kolpiti junction. Officers of the Kolpiti police said Ratwatte was arrested on several charges, including driving under the influence and causing an accident. They also revealed that he was under the influence of a drug at the time of the incident, and another case has been filed against the suspect under further charges. After being granted bail by the Colombo Magistrates Court, Ratwatte was produced before the Colombo Traffic Court this afternoon. The Kolpiti police stated that the suspect was arrested after the accident and subjected to a test which confirmed he was intoxicated. It added that a charge sheet has been filed against the suspect and a date has been requested in this regard. The court then ordered Ratwatte to be released on a surety of 500,000 rupees and the case be called up again on the 14th of January next year.
Bashar al-Assad and his family have arrived in Moscow and have been granted asylum, quote-unquote, out of humanitarian considerations. Russian news agencies are quoting a Kremlin source as saying Assad was forced to flee Syria yesterday after rebels entered and gained control of the country's capital, Damascus.
What is the current situation in Syria?
Abu Muhammad al-Julani, the leader of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the main Syrian opposition armed group that seized Syria's capital, declared a quote-unquote new history has been written for the entire Middle East. He also criticized the Iranian government and its involvement in Syria, making the point that there will no longer be a government that will be affected by Iran as an outside actor. The rebels have opened the doors of the al-Assad regime's notorious prisons, into which upwards of 100,000 people disappeared during the nearly 14 years of civil war. The prisons infamous for torture in and around Damascus itself, including Sednaya, the most notorious, were broken open. Foreign media reports Syrians who fled to Jordan and Lebanon over the duration of the 14-year civil war have begun returning to their homeland.
What is Russia's stance?
Issuing a statement last night, Russia's foreign ministry said that Assad had left Syria and given orders for a peaceful transfer of power. Quoting a Kremlin source, Russian news agencies have announced that Bashar al-Assad and his family have arrived in Moscow and have been granted asylum, quote-unquote, out of humanitarian considerations.
How has the US responded?
Addressing the media yesterday, US President Joe Biden said the US's approach to Syria had, quote-unquote, shifted the balance of power in the Middle East. Speaking from the Roosevelt Room, Biden outlined a three-pronged approach to the conflict. He added that the US will not allow the ISIS to take advantage of any vacuum to re-establish its capability and to create a safe haven. The US Central Command confirmed that it conducted an operation targeting over 75 targets, and a senior official from the administration said those targets were in the east of Syria, where ISIS is reconstituting.
Russia's request.
Russia has called for an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council on developments in Syria. Dmitry Polyansky, Russia's first deputy permanent representative to the UN, said that he expects the meeting to be held today. Polyansky says it is unclear what the depth and consequences of the fall of the Assad regime will be for Russia and the rest of the Middle East. In particular, he says it is important to discuss the circumstances surrounding Israel temporarily seizing control of the UN-patrolled demilitarized zone in the Golan Heights.
Situation in the Golan Heights.
Israel's Prime Minister has announced its military has temporarily seized control of a demilitarized buffer zone in the Golan Heights, saying the 1974 disengagement agreement with Syria had quote-unquote collapsed with the rebel takeover of the country. Benjamin Netanyahu said, quote-unquote, "We will not allow any hostile force to establish itself on our border."
Celebrating the end of a cruel regime.
Syrians residing the world over rejoiced at Bashar al-Assad's ouster, and celebrations were witnessed in multiple locations.
South Korea's Justice Ministry has imposed an overseas travel ban on President Yoon Suk-yeol as authorities investigate allegations of rebellion and other charges in connection with his short-lived declaration of martial law last week.
Yoon's martial law decree last Tuesday, which brought special forces troops into Seoul streets, plunged South Korea into political turmoil and caused worry among its key diplomatic partners and neighbors. On Saturday, Yoon avoided an opposition-led bid to impeach him, which with most governing party lawmakers boycotting a parliamentary vote. But the opposition parties vowed to submit a new impeachment motion against him this week. A Justice Ministry official told a parliamentary hearing that it had banned Yoon from leaving the country following requests by police, prosecutors and anti-corruption agency as they expand their probes into circumstances surrounding Yoon's power grab. Foreign media reported that a senior National Police Agency officer today said that the police can also detain Yoon if conditions are met over the martial law.
Tonga's Prime Minister Sirasa Sovaleni has abruptly resigned ahead of a planned no-confidence vote in his leadership.
Tonga's parliament said that Prime Minister Sirasa Sovaleni has resigned for the good of the country and moving Tonga forward. Sovaleni, who took office in 2021, resigned before facing a vote of no confidence on Monday afternoon brought on by opposition lawmakers. His leadership had survived a previous no-confidence vote in September 2023. Tonga's hereditary nobles occupy 9 seats in the country's 26-member Legislative Assembly. Had they voted as a bloc alongside the opposition, they would have forced Sovaleni out.
According to the Met Department, showery conditions are expected to intensify in the northern and eastern provinces starting tomorrow. The low-pressure area is still persisting over Southeast Bay of Bengal and is likely to move west-northwestwards and reach over Southwest Bay of Bengal off Sri Lanka Tamil Nadu coasts by Wednesday.
According to the Met Department, temporarily very strong winds around 60 km per hour, accompanied with heavy rainfalls and very rough seas, are likely over above sea areas of Sri Lanka, Tamil Nadu coast. Showery conditions are expected to intensify in the northern and eastern provinces starting tomorrow. Fairly heavy showers, about 75 mm, are likely at some places in western and Sabaragamu provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. The Met Department requested the general public to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers.
The Sri Lanka Navy stands as a steadfast guardian of our nation, safeguarding us from the sea and dedicating itself to the pride and honor of the motherland. Today, the Sri Lanka Navy celebrates its 74th anniversary. The Ceylon Royal Navy was established on the 9th of December 1950 with the theme of the Golden Wall protecting the country. Following the adoption of the Republic of Sri Lanka Constitution in 1972, the Ceylon Royal Navy became the Sri Lanka Navy, solidifying its dominance over the nation's waters. The Sri Lanka Navy played a crucial role during the North-East War, safeguarding the sea zone and fulfilling the essential duties of a naval force. Today, on its 74th anniversary, the Sri Lanka Navy celebrates with pride, demonstrating its military strength and readiness to face any challenge in both local and regional maritime spaces. The Navy's invaluable contributions during the humanitarian operation to eliminate terrorism from the nation will always remain etched in the hearts of the people of Sri Lanka. The current Navy continues to make a significant contribution to the welfare of society. Sri Lanka's maritime domain spans over 200 nautical miles, covering an area of 65,610 square kilometers, nearly 8 times the size of the landmass.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
The press conference for the launch of the Voice Sri Lanka Season 3 was held today.
The MTV Media Network is ready to introduce an all-new experience with The Voice Sri Lanka Season 3. Among the many competitors, several exceptional Sri Lankan talents will join The Voice Sri Lanka to display their singing skills and compete for the spotlight. These contestants will have the opportunity to showcase their vocal abilities on a global stage. Mihidu Ariyaratna, Raini Charuka, Supun Pereira and Hiroshi Jayasena are the coaches for this season, bringing their expertise to guide the contestants through this exciting journey. Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Group, Shevan Daniel, shared his vision for taking Sri Lankan music and its stars to the global stage.
I believe this is the perfect moment to establish Sri Lankan music as an international brand. When people think of Sri Lanka, they typically think of Ceylon tea, our apparel or cricket, areas we have already gained global recognition. And that is fantastic. However, I believe Sri Lankan music is much more than that. Our musical culture spans thousands of years, deeply rooted in tradition and rich in diversity. The MTV Media Network, MBC Media Network, Stein Studios, which is South Asia's largest studio complex, M Entertainment, which is Sri Lanka's biggest music label, and the Department Broadcasting Centre have all played significant roles in nurturing and developing local talent. Together, these institutions have helped create countless stars. Now it's time to take these stars to the international stage.
That's the dream. Chief Operating Officer of MTV Channel, Yasrat Kamalsri, had this to say.
Just a few days ago, we had the opportunity to meet with the ITV broadcasting team, and they praised Sri Lanka's incredible talent and creativity. They were particularly impressed by the Voice Sri Lanka backdrop, noting that no other channel within this international franchise features a backdrop as grand as ours. It's a testament to the capabilities of the Stein Studios complex in Sri Lanka, where this unique backdrop and set were created. Something truly exceptional that you won't find anywhere else.
The original format of The Voice, successfully launched in over 180 countries, is owned by ITV, a leading global television network. In Sri Lanka, the rights to The Voice are held by MTV Channel Private Limited. Through Sirasa TV, The Voice Sri Lanka Season 3 will bring an exciting new season to local audiences, offering a host of fresh experiences. This season, The Voice Sri Lanka will partner with MBC and M Entertainment's Sri Lanka's leading music label. Together with MTV Channel, they promise to deliver an innovative and captivating version of The Voice to viewers. With numerous exciting changes and fresh elements, The Voice Sri Lanka Season 3 is set to offer a thrilling experience. The latest season will premiere this Saturday, the 14th of December at 8:30 p.m. and will air every weekend, bringing the best of Sri Lankan talents to your screens. On to more local news. The launch event of an island-wide menstrual health and hygiene awareness program by EVA and the Sri Lanka Red Cross Society was held in Colombo today.
Aimed at reaching schools across Sri Lanka during 2025, this island-wide menstrual health and hygiene awareness program by EVA and the Sri Lanka Red Cross Society seeks to equip students with vital knowledge while addressing stigmas surrounding menstruation.
During floods, we always find this concern where we give, or people give a lot of dry rations, people give a lot of raw material, or financial support, but a lot of people forget undergarments as well as sanitary napkins or sanitary pads, and that's how we started working with Maharaja.
Menstrual health is a crucial but often overlooked aspect of a young girl's development. Lack of understanding combined with deeply rooted cultural stigmas has caused countless girls to feel embarrassed, excluded and even deprived of opportunities. This initiative seeks to change that narrative by enhancing the overall well-being of female school children through education, awareness and practical interventions. We believe that It's a societal responsibility. Every girl deserves to thrive without fear, shame, or limitation and live with greater confidence. It is our shared duty to ensure that girls are equipped with the knowledge and resources they need to manage their menstrual cycles confidently and without interruption to their education.
EVA has been serving the consumers in Sri Lanka for decades. We understand the needs and aspirations of our consumers, and over the past few decades we have helped them manage their menstrual cycles with safety, dignity and a very effective manner. To break all the taboos, we must understand very clearly that menstruation is a natural process of purification. It just signifies a healthy body, and that's the only way it should be looked at. There should be no stigma attached to it, no taboos around it, and nothing else beyond this natural process. As a company, we are committed to providing solutions to all the problems faced by the female population in the country. We very strongly believe that when young girls are educated about menstruation and given the tools they need to manage it confidently, they become stronger and more empowered.
And that brings to a close tonight's edition of Primetime News.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.